and we don't brag about it, and we don't put TV cameras in front of them, because that, to us, is what our culture is.
For your speech. I'd like to ask a question about the crisis in Syria. I'm from Turkey, and as everybody knows, Turkey is hosting nearly 2,500,000 Syrian refugees. And some Turkish people are criticizing Saudi Arabia on the grounds that Saudi Arabia isn't accepting refugees and it isn't doing enough for refugees as a rich country. And as you said, there is a responsibility. You said that Saudi Arabia has a responsibility in terms of it's the center for Islam. So some Turkish people are also saying this. It's an Islamic country, so why isn't it doing enough for Syrian refugees? So I'd like to ask about this issue. I'd like you to elaborate on Saudi Arabia's refugee policy.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'll ask you to take that directly.
Yes, thank you. I think we could have done a better job explaining what we've done with Syrian refugees. Saudi Arabia has issued more than 2.5 million visas to Syrian refugees since the crisis began. We put out a statement. Nobody noticed it. 2.5 million came to Saudi Arabia. I think 600,000 or 700,000 still remain in Saudi Arabia. Not one of them lives in a refugee camp. And not one of them lives in a tent, because the custodian of the two holy mosques ordered that all Syrians who come to Saudi Arabia be provided residency permits so they can send their kids to school, so they can have access to medical care, and they can have access to social security, and they can get a job. We don't have one Syrian. All the Syrians who came to Saudi Arabia, 2.4 million, not one of them lives in a tent. And the same thing we did with Yemenis. Since the war in Yemen began, almost 1 million Yemenis came to Saudi Arabia as refugees. And the same policy was applied to Yemenis. Not one of them lives in a refugee camp, and not one of them lives in a tent. And we don't brag about it, and we don't put TV cameras in front of them, because that, to us, is what our culture is all about. These people came because their homes were devastated. They came seeking refuge and shelter and safety in Saudi Arabia, and we provided for them in a way that is dignified, in a way that doesn't humiliate them, in a way that allows them and their children to lead as normal a life as possible given the circumstances. So I really appreciate the question, so I can educate the audience about our refugee policy. Thank you.
Over 1 million Syrians have made the trek into Turkey's border since the beginning of the Syrian civil war. The streets of Istanbul, Turkey's cosmopolitan centre, are now lined with newly homeless Syrian refugees on every busy street and popular tourist site.
الوضع مسائي خاصة هلا بيجي الشتي علينا يعني لا بيعطونا لا رواتب ما يعطونا لا سكن بس شوارع أخي يعني نستنى فرج الله يعني في ولاد حلال قلال بيشوفونا بهالوضع بيجوا بيجيبوا لنا سندويشتين بيطعمونا والله بس قليل يعني الدولة ما عم تسأل عنا إذا صراحة هاي والله اليوم عيد إنه طلعنا فروجة هاي الله رجينا تروح تشتغل عند العالم كمان بيقولوا لنا بنعطيكم راتب 1000 ليرة تروح تشتغل يا بيعطيك 100 ليرة يا آخر الشهر كمان يقول ما عندي.
Many Syrians told Middle East Eye that they arrived in Istanbul looking for work, but as their time in the city stretches on and more refugees arrive, work is hard to come by. With no income, the streets have become their new home.
من امبارح وصلت له خوفي من تهرب من وضع السيد عين العرب الكوباني. وصلت له لحد الآن ما حدا له خبر علي، ما حدا حس فيني، لا ساعدني لا شيء، لا حدا عرف انه انا هون. في جماعة استقبلوني، نمت عندهم انا وعيلتي هدول، طعموني وشربوني، وهلا انا بارك بالحديقة وعم استنى رحمة الله واصحاب الخير والناس الطيبين.
Refugee crisis in Turkey reaching a critical level, and 500,000 more Syrians expected to arrive from Syria's Kurdish region in the coming weeks. Help is obviously required.